My name is Matt. I'm 37, a Special Forces operator in the U.S. Army, with 15 years behind me. 15 years of deployments, dusty outposts, cold nights in enemy territory, and a body that's held together by habit and grit more than anything else. I've always been the guy people relied on when shit hit the fan, the one who'd kick in the door, carry the wounded, or stay behind if it meant getting the team out. I never hesitated. I did it for my country. But more than that, I did it for my family. For my wife, Hannah, and our little boy, Caleb. They were the image in my head every time the bullets flew past, every time I heard the thump of mortar rounds nearby. Hannah and I met when I was stationed in North Carolina. She was in her last year of nursing school, smart, sarcastic, strong-willed. She didn't fall for the uniform like some girls did. I had to earn her trust, her time, her heart. I did. And when we got married 6 years ago, I honestly thought I hit the lottery. She kept our home grounded while I was away, and when Caleb was born, she became the kind of mother you read about in parenting blogs. Organized, loving, a warrior in her own right. But this last deployment was different. It was rougher, bloodier. I saw things that still wake me up at 3 a.m. covered in sweat. I also stayed longer than planned. An extra 2 months due to operational delays. We didn't have stable Wi-Fi most of the time, so our FaceTime calls were rare, choppy, and short. I thought about her every damn day. I sent gifts, emails, letters, but something shifted. Her replies became shorter, colder, less "I miss you" and more "Caleb has a cold" or "garage door is broken again." At first, I figured she was just overwhelmed, raising our son basically alone. That's no small feat. But when I landed back in the States and finally walked through our front door with my rucksack on my back and my heart pounding like I was breaching a compound, she didn't even cry. She smiled, sure, gave me a kiss, but her eyes, they were somewhere else. That first night, I held her in bed and tried to feel the woman I used to know. I whispered how much I missed her, how much I dreamed of this moment. She said she missed me too, but it felt like she was reciting a script, like her soul wasn't in it. We didn't even make love that night. She said she was exhausted, and I believed her at first. But in my gut, where instincts don't lie, something felt off. The first real crack appeared on a Sunday morning. I'd been home for 2 weeks, still adjusting, still trying to reintegrate into civilian pace. I'd wake up early, always do, before sunrise, before Caleb even stirred. Hannah wasn't next to me in bed that morning, so I padded downstairs in my boxers, thinking maybe she was up early too, maybe starting coffee like she used to. But the kitchen was dark. Quiet. I found her in the guest bathroom, the one we rarely use, with the door closed and locked. I stood there, confused, hearing faint sounds inside. I knocked. "You okay?" I asked. A pause. Then the toilet flushed. Water ran. She cracked the door. Her hair was messy. She looked startled. "Yeah," she said too quickly. "Just needed a minute." I let it go, but something itched in my brain. Over the next few days, little things piled up like dirt under a rug I couldn't stop tripping over. She started guarding her phone like it held nuclear codes, always face down, always locked. If I walked into the room while she was texting, she'd suddenly flip the screen or swipe away. One night she told me she was going to dinner with some friends, girls only, she said, and she looked too nervous, like a teenager sneaking out. I offered to drive her, even pick her up later. She declined both. "Don't be ridiculous, Matt," she snapped. That tone wasn't hers, not my Hannah. That tone belonged to someone defensive, someone hiding something. Still, I tried to brush it off. I took Caleb to the park that evening, bought him ice cream, watched him laugh like I used to before I saw too much. But when we got home, she wasn't back yet. Hours passed. No texts, nothing.
At midnight, the door finally creaked open. She smelled like perfume, not hers, not the vanilla she always wore. Something sharper, spicier. Her makeup was smudged. Her blouse was buttoned unevenly. She gave me a lazy kiss on the cheek and mumbled something about staying too long at her friend Megan's place. She collapsed into bed without even changing. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise. My body was home, but my heart was starting to feel like it was still deployed. So I did something I told myself I'd never do. I went through her phone. It was risky, but I had to know. She'd changed the password. That alone told me everything I needed, and yet I didn't stop there. I remembered the old iPad we hadn't used in years, synced to her Apple account. I charged it overnight, and the next morning while she took Caleb to daycare, I opened it. No passcode, just a screen full of apps and notifications. I opened iMessage. What I found made my hands go numb. Conversations with someone named Lena and Sam, both female, both extremely explicit. Pictures, videos, discussions about the last time and next time, mentions of our house, of Caleb being at daycare. One message from Lena read, "Your husband's too clueless to notice. Let's film again next Thursday." And Hannah had replied, "Only if you bring that toy again, the one that left me walking funny."
I waited, not for a confrontation, not yet. I needed to see it with my own eyes, needed to bury every shadow of doubt, because part of me, the part that still remembered our wedding day and the way her eyes watered when Caleb was born, didn't want to believe any of this was real. Maybe it was some twisted joke. Maybe the Lena and Sam were just flirty texts. Maybe it hadn't gone physical. Maybe. So I installed a hidden camera in our bedroom. Tiny thing, motion activated, hidden in the old bookshelf next to her vanity. She never noticed. 2 days passed. She acted normal. Maybe a little too normal. Smiled too wide. Kissed me a little longer. Overcompensating. Then came Thursday. She dropped Caleb at daycare early, told me she was working from home that day, which she never did. Said she had a headache and just wanted to relax in bed. I kissed her goodbye, drove around the block, parked behind the gas station 3 streets over, and waited in the car. My heart pounded like I was back on patrol in Kandahar. After an hour, I got the notification on my phone. Camera motion detected. I opened the live feed, and there it was. 2 women. One blonde, one with short dark hair. Lena and Sam, no doubt. My wife opened the door for them wearing a silk robe I'd bought her for our anniversary. They kissed her. Not on the cheek. Deep, open-mouthed, hungry. She laughed. She didn't hesitate. She wasn't ashamed. I watched the 3 of them move toward our bed, unwrapping each other like gifts. I slammed the phone screen off. My stomach turned. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was fury. This was betrayal, amplified by years of sacrifice and loyalty. I drove home without even thinking, walked through the front door without knocking. The sounds coming from upstairs were unmistakable. Laughter, moaning, the rhythmic creaking of our bed, my bed. I climbed the stairs slowly, calmly. My boots thudded against the steps. And then I threw the bedroom door open. Chaos froze. Clothes everywhere, skin everywhere. Hannah gasped. Lena screamed. Sam covered herself with a pillow. My wife sat up, flushed, hair wild, eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, watching them squirm. "Nice to see the headaches gone," I said flatly. No one spoke. The silence was heavier than any explosion I had ever heard. Finally, Hannah tried to say something. An apology? An excuse? I raised my hand. "Don't," I said. "I saw everything." She looked like she might cry, but I had nothing left to offer her. I gave everything to this family, and this is how you thank me? Lena and Sam tried to collect their things. I didn't stop them. I didn't care if they left naked. Let the whole neighborhood see them. They slinked past me like rats escaping a burning building. Hannah tried to follow them. "Wait," I said. She turned. "We're not done. Sit." She sat. For the first time in years, she looked small, fragile, weak. I stared at her and asked one question. Why? And what she said next broke whatever was left of me.
She sat there, clutching the bedsheet to her chest, like it could protect her from the mess she created. Breathing shallow, eyes red. I didn't say a word. I just waited. After a minute, she whispered, "I didn't mean for you to find out like this." That made me laugh, short and bitter. "So you did mean for it to happen?" She winced, but didn't deny it. "It wasn't supposed to go this far," she said. "It started small." Her voice trembled. "When you deployed last time, I was just so lonely. Not in the I missed you kind of way. I missed being touched. I missed being seen. And Lena, she was just there all the time, helping with Caleb, talking to me when I couldn't sleep. It felt innocent." I clenched my jaw. "And Sam?" She looked down. "That was later. Lena introduced us. It was just supposed to be once. Just something wild. Something different. It felt exciting." I shook my head slowly. "Exciting?" "I know how it sounds," she snapped, suddenly defensive. "But you have no idea what it's like being the one left behind. You get medals, parades, people thank you in the grocery store. I sit here alone, forgotten. I wake up every night worrying I'll get a knock on the door saying you're dead, and I still have to pack lunches and keep smiling in front of Caleb." My hands curled into fists. "So your solution was to screw two of your friends in our bed?" She blinked, tears spilling now. "It's not that simple. It was about feeling alive again, feeling wanted. For once, I wasn't the one waiting." The words hit harder than bullets. I'd bled in the desert, pissed in bottles on night patrol, buried friends, and all the while I thought I was doing it for my family, for her, for the boy we raised together, and how she was telling me that wasn't enough. I stared at the wedding photo still hanging on the wall behind her. I was in dress blues. She was in white lace. We looked happy, real. Now it just looked like a joke. "How long?" I asked. "With Lena, over a year," she admitted. "With Sam, 4 months." I wanted to vomit. "So every time I came home for leave, every kiss, every hug, it was all fake?" She shook her head violently. "No, I still loved you. I still do." I barked out another laugh. "You don't get to say that. Not anymore." She reached out instinctively like that would fix it. I stepped back. "Don't touch me!" Her hand dropped like I slapped it. "What now?" she whispered. I stared at her for a long time. "I don't know," I finally said. "But I'm done being the fool in this house." I turned and walked out, not slamming the door, just letting it shut slow and quiet, like the end of something sacred. I drove. No destination. Just needed air. The streets blurred past, but all I could see was her tangled with them, laughing, happy, free. And I realized the person I thought I knew, the woman I fought for, prayed for, loved through every dark night. She didn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did.
I didn't go home that night. I slept in my truck, parked 2 blocks from the old VFW hall. I sat there for hours, staring at the ceiling, playing her words on loop. It felt exciting.
It wasn't supposed to go this far. I still love you. What the hell does love even mean when it's twisted like that? When it's shared between 3 people behind your back in your own goddamn house? I thought about Caleb, our son, the only thing that made sense anymore. He didn't know what was happening. He just knew Daddy came home quieter this time, with eyes that didn't smile. I couldn't destroy his world just because mine was shattered. I went back the next morning, not to talk, just to see him. He ran to me like he always did, arms wide, full trust. I held him tighter than I ever had before. She was in the kitchen, eyes puffy, wearing that old hoodie of mine like it still gave her the right to pretend nothing had changed. We didn't speak. I took Caleb out for the day. We hit the park, ate ice cream, watched some ducks by the lake. He laughed. I didn't, but I smiled for him. That night, I finally sat down and wrote her a letter. Not a screaming rant, not a guilt trip, just truth. I told her what it felt like to come home to betrayal. How every deployment, every bullet I dodged, every night I wondered if I'd live to see my family again, it was all wrapped in the belief that she was waiting. That belief kept me alive. And she killed it. I told her I'd be filing for divorce, that I'd fight for joint custody, that I didn't hate her, not anymore, but I couldn't love someone I didn't respect. I told her I'd never step foot in that house again. She could keep it. I'd start over, somewhere quieter, somewhere honest. I left the letter on the kitchen table, packed a duffel bag, kissed Caleb goodnight, and walked out without looking back. A week later, I was in a 1-bedroom rental with nothing but a mattress, a coffee pot, and a photo of my son on the wall. It was quiet, empty, but honest. The nightmares didn't go away. Now they were just different. Not IEDs or ambushes. Now it was her face, twisted with pleasure with them. Sometimes I'd wake up shaking, other times numb. But slowly, something started to shift. I started running again. I joined a gym. I talked to a guy at group who'd gone through something similar. His wife left him for her yoga instructor while he was serving in Syria. We laughed bitterly about it, but we understood each other. There's a strange comfort in shared betrayal. Months passed. I saw Caleb every weekend. Every hug felt like a lifeline. She didn't fight the divorce. Maybe she knew she'd already lost more than I ever could. The last time we spoke in person, she cried. Asked if someday I could forgive her. I said maybe, but I'll never forget. She nodded like she understood, but I don't think she ever really will. That's the thing about betrayal. The one who commits it always underestimates the depth of the damage. They move on. You rebuild, but the cracks stay. Still, I'm standing, and that counts for something.